Podcast with Rich Keefe. It's the DORK Podcast. Ryan Davey. It's the DORK Podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag DORK Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is Ronnie Ron Vaughn.
Donnie Don.
All hail.
That one's awesome.
It's Ryan Davey. Davey, how are you?
I'm great now. That was fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty great. What a
Proper condoms for policemen who like eating Burger King. Proper whopper copper condom on.
wow. Right. Email of the episode from David, dorkpodcast@gmail.com. He says, love the pod. He says, hey guys, love the podcast. Been listening to it from the start. The back and forth makes it a must listen, even if the topic isn't up my alley. I'd love to hear you guys do an episode on the movie Snatch and the show Gary and His Demons. I've never heard of that show. That is my favorite, or one of my favorite movies. So I would not be opposed to doing a Snatch episode. He said, I was just listening to one of the most recent Penguin episodes, and the should I have bought this got me to write in. He said, what a sweet Griffey card that guy got himself. Of course, if you missed 2 weeks ago, it was a signed Ken Griffey Jr. 1989 Upper Deck card. He said, but as you two were talking about the other cards, you got me digging through my collection. And then he says, fun fact, Brian Babineau's father took the Billy.
Yeah, Brian Babineau. Yeah.
Babineau took the Billy Ripken fuckface picture.
So if you didn't, I responded back to you, like the Babineaus are so the dad is like the photographer for the Bruins. So he's he's been shooting the Bruins since like the 70s. And he's been he shoots everything around Boston. The guy's I think it's Joe is his name. So he took that picture. And so Brian, his son, does all the Celtic stuff. So that picture of Jason Tatum in Times Square, Brian took that photo.
Oh no shit.
And I've in my travels and it's funny because all the concerts I do at TD Garden, they're the house. So the Babineaus are the house photographers of TD Garden. So when I have to go, I go through Live Nation to get a press pass and either get approved or denied or whatever. The Babineaus literally can just show up whenever they want and shoot a show.
Sick. Yeah.
So I met Brian at Weezer. And I met I met his dad at another show at TD Garden. He just just felt like they just showed up.
That's pretty funny.
And they just go. We usually have handlers that take us places. They just come and go as they please.
I got it. Yeah, you guys are good. That's pretty sick. It's funny. So he also sent a photo of some of his cards that he has.
Mm-hmm.
And so he has the Billy Ripken fuckface card. So if you don't know what we're talking about, it says fuckface on the bottom of his bat.
Someone wrote fuckface on the bottom of Billy Ripken's bat on the knob. So he didn't know it was there. Allegedly. He said he didn't know it was there.
Yeah. And so he's just an old school baseball card. So it's funny. Baseball cards were the best, but some were action poses, others are just fucking dudes standing there
T-ball photo.
So it's him standing there with the sick Orioles uniform and the fucking awesome hat where it's the actual little Oriole wearing a hat
with the white. Yeah, it's
anytime you have a mascot wearing a hat on a hat, I'm sold. And anyway, so he has that. He has it graded. He also has from The Simpsons, Willie the Dupe Dimpkin, which is their version of it. And he has that card. And then he also has the Mark Jackson New York Knicks NBA hoops card where the Menendez brothers are sitting behind him in the front row.
It's pretty awesome.
That's fucking awesome. I gotta go look through my cards now. I think I have that card, and if I don't, I have a bunch from that same set, that make and year, because it looks so familiar to me. But maybe I don't have the Mark Jackson. But now I gotta look for it and see if I have that.
You probably have. It's you probably have it stashed somewhere.
It's probably buried somewhere. And how I sorted them as a 10-year-old kid, who would ever know? But I gotta dig into that because that's pretty sweet. Yeah. So anyway, you can email us dorkpodcast@gmail.com, and you never know, we might discuss it. Y'all ready for bisque? Ryan, are you ready for the topic du jour?
I'm sorry, I'm still on baseball cards.
I know that was quick. Oh, we could do a whole baseball card episode. I could go back. I could go balls deep back into baseball cards. Tell you that much.
Can you name the 2 Major League Baseball teams that have more than 2 letters on their hat?
Yes, I can. The St. Louis Cardinals and the Minnesota Twins.
Nope.
Doesn't it say TC for Twin Cities? Well, you know
more
what?
Than 2. It said more than 2.
Oh, more than 2. More than 2. So St. Louis, right? STL.
St. Louis was one of them. Yep.
That was one of them. Okay. More than 2 letters on their ball cap. I'm gonna get this. I don't care if this takes.
You're gonna get it. Yeah.
I don't care.
It's obvious. Don't look at the chat. It's obvious though.
I'm not looking at the chat. I
Yeah.
wouldn't do it. Is it? Oh, fuck! I looked at the chat.
You would have gotten it eventually.
I have that fucking hat. I have like the hat over the corner, the socks. That's a good hat.
Last sports trivia question before we get into it. What's the only NFL team with a yellow face mask?
Ooh, Packers?
Nope.
Yellow face mask? Chargers?
You got it.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's fun.
That's a fun one, right?
I like that. That's really
Yeah.
good. Good trivia. Is this? Yeah, no, I'm not gonna ask this. All right, let's get to this. Ryan, topic du jour time, and it is a horror. I always say horror, but it's a horror trilogy that just came out recently. So in 2022, the first 2 films, X and Pearl, were released. And then just this year, 2024, MaXXXine was released. It is the Ty West directed, Mia Goth starring trilogy. Before we get into it, Ty West is a director that I haven't seen a ton of his stuff, and I think I need to go back. So I've seen all 3 of these movies, obviously. He also directed The House of the Devil. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have.
Is that good?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay. All right, I gotta watch that.
You've actually seen more of his movies than you think. So you've seen all of these, right?
Yes, these 3.
You've seen VHS. You've seen.
Yes. So he did one specific part. So like, you know how VHS is. We actually talked about it whatever it was.
Yeah.
2 weeks
Last
ago.
time.
That's scariest. So he did. I looked this up. He specifically did the one. It was called Second Honeymoon, where you remember the one where like the 2 couples are there, and then like the guy breaks in, and then he's like fucking with him with a knife, and like then he leaves, and then he comes back again, then kills the dude. That's the one that he did. He directed that.
Yeah,
one.
and he was actually in Your Next, but he didn't direct it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he's kind of an actor, right? He's in like
he was
stuff.
Tariq in Your Next, which I love. That movie's awesome.
That movie's sick. I would start rewatching that again. That's on Netflix right now, or Netflix. So I started watching that again. So he also did The Innkeepers, The Sacrament, and In a Valley of Violence. I didn't see any of these, but
hang on. Josh in the chat. I have to look at this. He said he was the producer in the Worms Other Money sketch.
Holy mackerel. Well, this guy's even better than. Also, what I found out about this guy, Ty West, is his wife or girlfriend, I think wife, is a Australian DJ. And you know what her name is?
What?
Allison Wonderland.
I love that.
Isn't that amazing? Allison
Wonderland.
Josh was joking. He boom roasted you, right?
God damn. Why would you do that to me? Why would you do that to me? Fuck's sake. But that's one of those things that's like so believable.
Yeah, no, I know.
Allison Wonderland.
Allison Wonderland. Amazing.
That is cool.
Like that.
That's like a roller derby name.
Yeah, that kind of is. But so she must just like spin the hits down.
Can I tell you something that I learned in my graduate studies?
Yes, of course.
I took a technomusicology class. This is gonna burst everyone's bubble. If you watch like an EDM show where those guys are like twisting knobs and stuff, they're not doing anything.
No,
they do nothing.
That's just
all of that set is done. It's all pre-recorded. It's all pre-produced.
So like
They
what
might they might kick in some phasers and some like change the sound a little bit, but like the cues and stuff, those are already there. They don't
like
hit a button to do that.
like Marshmallow? Is that one of the
Yeah.
guys?
Or
He
like
just,
Steve Aoki or
yeah,
like
he's just up there.
the only people who do it live don't do it anymore, and it's Daft Punk actually mix it live, but no one else really does.
Steve Aoki throws cake at people.
Sure does.
I don't get it. I don't know if
I don't
there's a
get
lot
it
to
either.
get. I
That's
don't
like
know
his
if
thing. It's like hucking cake at people.
What would your
It's
thing
not even
be?
good cake. What would my thing be?
Yeah, would you throw shit at the audience or no?
No, I would get like what I would want, or like those like lights that shoot lasers.
Yeah,
I
of
would
course.
want those in like gun form. I would want like laser guns.
Laser guns. I like that.
You like that?
Yeah, turn it into like the Pointer Brothers, where you're like,
Or
anybody who has their hands up, I'm going to shoot the laser at you, and then put your hands down once I hit you with the laser.
or I have these things strategically placed around. Like when you go to like an arcade, they had those old games where you'd like shoot a gun and like it would
Yeah.
trigger something.
Yes.
Like I do that, and like all over the audience. Like if I had like fog or like other lasers or smoke, or like I hit something, and then it like all goes off. Ring with the lasers going off there. I think I would do that.
I like that.
Yeah.
If I was this was my idea a long time ago, and like you can't get away with this now as an older gentleman, but if I was in a rock band, I would do the thing where like, and John Cena ended up kind of doing this early on in his wrestling, but say I was doing a show in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I'd wear like a Paul Molitor jersey.
Oh,
And then
absolutely.
Now I'm doing a show in Phoenix and I'm wearing like a Dan Marley, or I'm doing
Thunder
a show
Dan.
in Seattle. Yes, I would just take like throwback jerseys of like guys from the city, just to be like, hey, cheer for me. I like the same team you like.
Mm-hmm. I think there are people who kind of do that. But
John Cena kind of did when he was doing like his rap gimmick. He would wear a lot of throwback jerseys in the ring, and it would be all different sports, but of like the town he was in. I'm like, smart.
the late great Payne Stewart, the golfer who wore the knickers,
Yes.
like the plaid knickers, he
I
would
love
wear
this.
them whatever state he was in, whatever the closest NFL team, he would wear their colors.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I like that. I like Payne Stewart.
me too.
Good golfer.
Poor guy.
I know it's fucked. Let's start non-spoiler because it's gonna be mostly spoiler because obviously the third of the trilogy just came out. It's the one that we both watched most recently, and so talking about that, you're gonna de facto have spoilers. So just overall, right? X, Pearl, and MaXXXine. How would you sum up? Not the movies themselves, but like sort of like your enjoyment or perhaps lack thereof of watching these movies.
I very much enjoyed X. I thought that was a nice like throwback movie.
Yeah.
And I thought it was weird the way they kind of spaced them out. Pearl is a prequel to X, and then MaXXXine is the continuation of X. Right.
Yeah.
So it was a little odd to me, like how that worked. I mean, horror movies do this kind of thing all the time, so it's not that unheard of, but they're really way different movies. It's like they're connected by like one person essentially, but they're just three completely different movies, and I enjoyed them to varying degrees. If that answers your question at all.
Yeah, no, it does. Like, so this is going to be a very weird way of saying it. I think I like the idea of these movies and the idea of this trilogy more than the actual movies in a weird way. So I like it. I liked, what's funny is I didn't like X the first time I watched it as much as I do now. And so I don't know, maybe I thought it was going to be better because I think a lot of people hyped it up because they knew it was the type of movie I would like. And so I remember watching X and being like, yeah, it's good, but I wasn't blown away. And then, but like as time went on and I was thinking about it, I'm like, oh, it was pretty enjoyable. I actually think, even though I agree with you that all the movies are pretty different, watching Pearl, especially Pearl, and then even MaXXXine, I think I liked X even more. So like to me, X is the best movie of the three.
I agree.
And then I think it might be Pearl, and then I think MaXXXine might be the weakest, but there's not like a big range. Like I think they're all pretty comparable.
I think for me, Pearl is the best movie of the three.
Okay.
However, Pearl makes X better to me.
Yes.
Like I like X better now because of Pearl.
Right. I agree completely.
And MaXXXine is just okay.
Yeah, MaXXXine was fine. Like MaXXXine, I liked the idea of like how they did it in like taking characters from X. And so if you just watch X and then, and we'll get into this in spoilers, but like taking a couple characters and then being like, they're gonna get their own movies. Like we're gonna make a whole movie about it, and then like set it in those times and have them be a little bit different. You know, X has like some Texas Chainsaw Massacre type vibes to it.
Yep.
Pearl is not like that. Pearl's different than Texas Chainsaw. I don't even know how to describe it. The character of Pearl has like a little bit of like a Carrie vibe, but then it's like, but it's not like a Carrie movie at all. And then MaXXXine is more like your Hollywood, you know, sort of the seedy
slasher
yeah. Hollywood, like seedy side shit. It's probably the least horror movie.
Yeah.
I felt like X and Pearl had more like horror elements, like a little bit more scares. MaXXXine, I didn't really have that feeling. And so the Roddy T scores, critics loved the first two. Critics go 94 for X, 93 for Pearl, and then it drops down to 72 for MaXXXine. The audience scores are all relatively. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, it's not MaXXXine isn't bad by any stretch of the, but it's like it's just not where the other two are.
Yeah, agreed. The audience is a little bit more in lockstep with all three. Where X they have at 76, Pearl 83, MaXXXine 77. So it's funny. The critics maybe agree with us that X is the best. Although you like overall as a movie, Pearl's really good. So yeah,
Pearl's the best movie.
Yep.
But X is my favorite.
Yeah, got it. And they're all.
And
like
I know to you that's the same thing.
Yeah, I was like, right, correct, the same. They're all like an hour 42, hour 41, hour 45. So it's like past the 90-minute like normal horror movie sweet spot, but not 2 hours. And I don't think any of them. Like you're not like checking your watch on any of them. I think they're all pretty good. Like they're all pretty good. Before we get into spoilers, what would your dork scores be for all three of these?
Let's see. I would give X a 4.5.
Yep.
Pearl a 5.
Nice.
MaXXXine a 4. 3.5, 4.
All right, pick one.
4.
Okay. The 4.5, 5, 4. So it's funny. My initial thought on it is when I first saw X, I thought it was like a 4 or maybe even a 3.5. And then now that I've seen it, I think 3 total times. And then now that I've also seen Pearl and MaXXXine, I'm with you. I'm going 4.5. I'm going rock hard 4.5 for X. I'm going to go. Yeah, I know this is somewhat cheating, but soft 4.5 for Pearl.
Okay.
So they're both 4.5s, but X is better. And then I'm going to go 4 as well for MaXXXine. Because I was thinking about some of the other horror movies I've seen this year, like Immaculate and Long Legs and First Omen. Like it's in that ballpark to me.
Yeah.
So I'm going soft 4 for MaXXXine. I do despite the 4.5s, it is like a must watch because like of a like little self-contained horror movie trilogy. Like I love the idea and I think people will enjoy it and have fun with it. And like, so I do recommend all three, especially now that they're all streaming. Like I recommend all three.
And to me, it's in the vein of like these new horror movies, like these Ari Aster who did like Hereditary and Midsommar. Like it's in the vein of those types of horror movies. X is a little bit more old school, but like the other two are like more unsettling and like weird.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Than horror.
Yes. Yeah.
It is an A24 movie, so like you get that vibe.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely are like those like creepy kind of weird scenes. But I think the director's good, and we're talking about that guy Ty West. So I want to see what else he comes up with. But this was cool. You know, we talked about Fear Street. Fear Street's obviously different. But Fear Street's another one of those like, here's 3 movies. we're going to use some of the same actors and play the same characters and like connect them all. Same idea. Both very enjoyable to me. Anything else non-spoiler?
No, let's get to it.
Spoilers! 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 Here come the spoilers!
All right, so basically you have the movie X where they want to make a porno. That's sort of the whole premise of this. They want to go, and I'm trying to think, when does this take place? So 70s, late 70s.
Yes, late 70s.
You have a group in a van and they want to go film a porno, and they go to like this like house out in the middle of nowhere where
there is no Airbnb at this point.
No, it is two old people, and they kind of rent them part of like their like farmland to shoot this porno. The
farmer's daughter kind of vibe.
Yeah. And so it's the farmer's daughters is the name of the porno they're out there to shoot. The two people who live on said farm is Howard and Pearl, who are older. It's an older couple.
Oh, very old.
And so you have a filmmaker and his girlfriend, and then a few of the porno stars, including Brittany Snow, who I
Brittany Snow.
Brittany Snow.
I adore.
What a delight. Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
What a tour de force.
Glad you said that.
Love Brittany Snow. Not enough people talking about Brittany Snow, I feel like. Excellent.
Yeah.
You might know her from Pitch Perfect or the Prom Night reboot. I think she was in Prom Night reboot.
I became aware of Brittany Snow watching the movie John Tucker Must Die.
There you go. That's good.
Which is also a nice little teen movie for you.
She was in what else? Hairspray when that came out. Also, you would know this as well, I bet. Does your wife, like my wife, watch one of those like Selling Sunsets or some shit?
Oh Jesus, yeah.
So one of those horseshit shows, her ex-husband was on there. I think as like a realtor, and then he had an affair with like one of the girls on the show, and they've now had a divorce.
What?
I'm like, bro, you cheated on Brittany Snow? What are you
What
not
doing?
What
are you doing? And you're Jenna Ortega in this movie too.
A young gun. I mean, every movie she's still a young gun. So this was they filmed this probably 4 years ago or whatever. So yeah, she was very young. And yeah, Jenna Ortega is in this. Obviously Mia Goth. And here's the thing about these movies is Mia Goth plays multiple characters. So she plays both MaXXXine in X as well as Pearl. So Pearl and her husband Howard live there. They're old as shit. And Pearl is a serial killer. Pearl is an axe killer. And so they start dropping like flies in this thing. She also has an alligator that lives there on the little swamp. She feeds people the alligator. Poor Bobby Lynn, Brittany Snow, eaten by that alligator. So they're filming their porno, but they don't really like it. And
what's the alligator's name? Theta?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And they see the star in MaXXXine.
Yeah, Theta Bara.
Yeah. Also in this movie X, which is important, is throughout the entire movie, you are hearing a preacher. So at the very beginning of the movie, there's like a preacher on TV that they're watching. Like other people, even people at gas stations are watching this preacher.
Yeah.
And that always to me is kind of like a creepy element, like the super like over the top religious, like and that voice, like that cadence that they have. And then you find out that is MaXXXine's dad.
Yes.
And that you find out at the very end of the movie, but that ends up being really the plot of MaXXXine.
Which is kind of a lame reveal, but
what at the end of the first one?
No, at the end of MaXXXine.
Oh, at the end of MaXXXine. Yeah. But it is funny. Like that is classic trilogy stuff where you take something from the first movie that wasn't even brought up at all in the second movie, and then you like make it like the main thing in the third one.
Yes.
And so like that's what they did. No, but this is good. It's like, Pearl and Howard are both kind of like spying on like the porno that is going on, and then like Pearl still wants Howard to give her the business. He's like, I can't, I got a bum ticker. And then then she's like watching everybody. Pearl's like getting into bed with like MaXXXine. It's like, it's pretty gross, pretty intense. And then Pearl,
pretty gross. Yeah.
Speaking of gross, Pearl and Howard gotta be, I mean, I don't want to get into what you do on your own time, but like, have you seen people that old make sweet love before?
No, thank God.
That was intense. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, is this my future? Is this me?
Or it's
6
like
years
that
from now?
the Chappelle Show sketch when they're talking about like how they're going to do sex ed, and it's like the two oldest, grossest teachers just getting
Oh
it
my
on
God.
in front of all the students. Like that's sex ed, preaching
Yeah.
abstinence.
Yeah. So those two, God, bless them.
God love them.
They were able to make love one last time, and then that pretty much was it for poor Howard. That did him in.
I keep thinking of like the scene in It's Always Sunny where like Gail the Snail is trying to give Frank a handy under the table.
Oh,
And he's like, nah, you're just kind of mashing it right now.
It's like,
It's like, yeah,
gross,
cut
dude.
it out, Snail. You're just kind of mashing it at this point.
That's what this was.
Yeah.
But I think Pearl, and so as you're watching this movie, you're like, Pearl is obviously like jealous of like the younger
Yes.
people. And then
Could have been a contender.
could have been, right? And then the second movie, Pearl, like you get that and then some. Like, so the second movie is a young Pearl, and it takes place in 1918, I
18.
believe.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that? So her husband Howard would have been in World War One.
World War One.
Yeah. And so he's out in World War One. She's home. Her dad is like incapacitated. He has like some sort of like illness or whatever. So like he can't really do much. Like you need to help him with everything. The mom, this is where I was getting the Carrie vibes. The setting is not like Carrie, but like she just like nothing's good enough for her mom, and her mom like can't stand it, like don't do this, don't do that, don't go out, don't do that.
But it's funny, like it might be a sign of my age, but like by the end of the movie, like the mom was kind of making sense. Do you know what I mean? Like you think like, oh, she just doesn't understand the kid, like she's being a bitch, and she's like,
Yeah.
no, she's like trying to teach her that like you're not fucking good at this. You're not,
Yeah.
and you're gonna fail at this, and I'm just trying to help you.
She was.
Yeah,
But
I
there
know,
was
like
also-
I've seen what you do in your room. Like I've seen you fucking killing things, and I've seen it.
Mhm.
You know, so I'm just trying
Oh
to
yeah,
help
that's
you
the
out
thing.
here.
It's like so Pearl is like her mom's is I think kind of mean to her. You're right, maybe also talking sense to her, but Pearl shows a lot of signs of being a psychopath.
Oh God, yeah,
Like
the
and
goose right out of the jump.
Yeah, like a lot of animal stuff. A lot of bad
Yep.
news animal stuff. Oh, real quick, I wanted to mention, speaking of right from the jump, I like the beginning of X is like a slow pan to like that farmhouse, and then it's like police officers arriving, and
Mhm.
like you see their reaction to the stuff. So like you don't know what happened yet, but you're like, oh shit, like we're about to find out. Like I like
Yeah.
that. But anyway, Pearl is like torturing animals and shit. Then like what was the stuff they sent to the house, and she just left it out there, and that
It was a pig. It was like a suckling pig.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
and she like didn't bring it in, and it was just like getting
maggots
like,
and
oh yeah. Pearl's very unsettling. Pearl also does the thing that is a tough watch for movies or TV shows when like a character wants something or is like trying out for a part or whatever and like doesn't get it, and you're just like, ugh, like you just feel that like shame for them.
yeah. And she, the way she like screams
Oh,
when she's crying, it's like it's really scary. It's scary.
she is scary.
And the film projector. By the way, that guy was a David Cronin
Superman.
sweat. That's the new
Superman.
Superman. Yeah,
David Corn Sweat. Yeah, so he was
Corn
in
sweat. Yeah,
Corn Sweat. He was in that show with what We Own This City with friend of the show Trey Chaney. He and those two guys were in that HBO series. They were both cops, and he was the projectionist. That didn't go
and
great
she's
for
like,
him.
"Why don't you like me anymore?" And I'm like, the whole time, her and Mitzi, her sister-in-law. I'm just like, just get out of the house. Just leave the house. Just
Oh
go.
God damn it! You're
Just
like,
go.
just please leave.
Just go. Yeah.
And yeah, like she just didn't get the part. She was going for the part. She just wanted to get out of there. I think that was her big thing, right? She just wanted to get out of that town. Like that was her main thing. It felt like was the mom doesn't think she can. She wants to get out, and then as we know, she never got out. And then I think she just got triggered, like the movie X, was because she saw all those girls, especially MaXXXine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the crazy part. Like, so Mia Goth plays both characters. So in X, Mia Goth plays MaXXXine, and then she also plays old ass Pearl. And then she ends up taking both of those characters and doing full length movies, which is pretty sweet. She also has kind of a crazy voice. Like she's yeah.
And probably the most unsettling thing in all of Pearl is like the credits where she's just smiling.
Oh my God.
And like the tears are like rolling down. She does this thing with like one of her eyes.
I'm glad you brought that up. That is a horror movie in itself.
And I wanted to turn it off, and I'm like, I want to see if something happens, but I can't look away from this. I want to turn it off so bad. And Ryan was like, don't turn it off. Like, we got to see it through. We got to see it through. And how long? And so I'm guessing, because she doesn't blink the whole time. So I'm guessing it was probably easy for her to like well up some tears because her eyes were, because they were so big, just they were like stinging the whole time.
Insane.
That's some good acting. Like that'll never win an award, but holy shit.
And so Pearl murders both her parents and then basically is just playing house with both of them still in the house. And then her husband, Howard, who we again see in X, he returns home from the war. She thought he was dead because he stopped writing letters or whatever. And then he is not dead. And so he shows up and she's sitting at the table with her dead parents. And she's like, hey, like, glad you're back.
Maggot pig. Yeah.
He's stuck with her though.
He must have, all those. I'd be scared, be stupid not to.
In real life, Mia Goth is with Shia LaBeouf.
They're married,
And I would say, you got to dump him, girl. He's a bad guy.
They're matching crazy's matching crazy there.
He's a bad guy.
I think, you know what, though? I think Shia is like, he started trying to get it together. He was not a good guy. He was not a good guy.
I'm not
giving him a pass.
Right. People can change.
He's trying to figure it out. Yeah.
I hope he does.
Dad now.
Yeah, like he is a interesting character. He's a really good actor.
Jesus Christ, like
he's
everything he's in, aside from like Indiana Jones, like everything he's in, he's fucking great.
I listened to his he went on John Bernthal's podcast.
Yeah. That was really interesting to listen to.
Yeah, it's intense. And again, I don't know all the details of it. Like if you listen to the girl who was in The Crow, what's her? She has like a
FKA Twigs.
FKA Twigs.
Yeah.
So if everything she accused him of, and he's even like admitted to some of it, I think. So like I don't like that. That's not good.
Oh, well, so I just Googled it now that you mention it. That is going to trial.
So is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucked. But like he does this whole long episode with John Bernthal, and he talks about that a little bit. He does talk about Mia Goth. He talks about, so they were in that movie Fury together, which is a crazy.
Jesus Christ, is that movie good? I just watched that like.
Did you? Yeah, Fury's intense.
Like a month ago.
Michael Pena, Brad Pitt, Bernthal, and Shia LaBeouf in a tank, and you're like,
and what the kid who was almost Spider-Man, Logan Lerman.
Oh, is that his name? Oh, yeah,
that's the new kid in Fury. Like they put in the bottom.
Yeah.
The front gunner or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. Remember Disturbia? Disturbia was a good movie.
That was good.
That was pretty good.
I forgot Scott Eastwood was in Fury too.
Scott Eastwood.
Yeah.
This motherfucker. There's also a scene in Pearl where she is sexually with a scarecrow, which you don't see every day.
You don't see that. And it turns into the film guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. The projectionist.
She starts yelling at it.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
Yeah. Intense. This one's creepy as shit. Like this is her best performance.
Oh God.
Great. Like, and then some. So then MaXXXine basically takes so in X, everybody dies basically except for MaXXXine Minx.
Mm-hmm.
She get like poor Jenna Ortega's dead, shotgun blasts. Brittany Snow gets eaten by an alligator. The other dudes all get fucking killed. So like everybody's dead in X except for MaXXXine Minx. She gets out of there. She actually tried to save Jenna Ortega, didn't take. And then so anyway, she gets out of there and she kills Pearl. She like backs over with the car, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So now she is trying to make it. She's trying to get into Hollywood, and she gets cast in a movie, like a full go.
A horror sequel, as it were. Very meta.
A horror sequel indeed, that was supposed to be like the real deal, right? This was supposed to be like the next thing. And Kevin Bacon is in this movie. He has
I had no idea he was in this movie.
No, I didn't know that he was in this movie either. But he at one point he's like stalking Mia Goth, Maxine. He's like stalking
Yeah.
Maxine. And she like walks back to his car, and you think she's gonna say something to her, and she just fucking takes her keys and just like beats the shit out of his face for like 5 minutes. She's like beating the shit out of him.
Well, you missed the part too. At the beginning of the movie when she baits the guy into following her in the alley and he pulls a knife on her and she crushes the man's testicles.
She stomped on the man's nuts. I'm curious. So in this movie, there was a real life lawsuit because like a actor or like a stand-in or whatever,
an extra
said that Mia Goth like kicked him in the head or whatever.
Yeah, so I read up on this before this, and so what happened? What had happened was there was a take where she was like, it was like a dead parishioner. So it was like there was like a dead body. The guy was like a dead body or something. He was like laying on the ground, and they did a take, and she was either supposed to step over him or like run around him, and she kind of did neither and kind of kicked him in the head. And so the guy got up and told like the second director, "Hey, can you like make sure she's careful like on the next one? Like she hit me like as she was running by me." Message got delivered to Mia Goth, and he alleges that on the next take, she fucking booted him in the head as she was running by him, like on purpose, and gave him a concussion.
Oh boy.
So
I don't know.
Story, keep your fucking mouth shut.
Yeah, just do your job, dude. Just fucking lay there.
Yeah.
Your extra body. It's funny though. So like she's doing like the interview at the beginning, like she obviously did a bunch of pornos, as we know from X, but she wants to cross over into like regular movies. And she's saying how she wants to be Brooke Shields. And it's funny, her friend at the movie theater, like the rental. I always love whoever works at a rental place is always the best character. And like a 70s, 80s, or 90s, if you're like Randy Meeks, I'm in. And she's like, I want to be like Brooke Shields. He's like, Brooke Shields didn't do porn. And she's like, no, but she got naked and she's in the Muppet movie. And you're like,
yeah,
well done.
He's like, yeah, good point. Yeah.
This movie also does a lot of, because it has that vibe and they just like leaned into it. Night Stalker. So the Night Stalker was like and you know what's crazy? The Night Stalker has popped up in the last 2 years like a bunch. There's a Netflix documentary about the Night Stalker now. There was an American Horror Story season about the Night Stalker
around that time. Yeah, that was when they were at camp.
Yeah, and he even was there. He showed up and he was in it. And now this one they reference him, and then her dad ends up being sort of like a copycat type of thing, right? Like there are other killings like kind of like that. Yeah, that ball stomp was insane. But then you also get like the old Hollywood stuff, and like she's on the set of Psycho, like she's there with Bates Motel, and then like sees the thing like that. I thought all that was pretty cool. It does get a little like crazy. Like I thought the sort of endings of the first two movies were better than this one. This just sort of gets like kind of nuts, and it's like, all right, now the dad's there. The dad's trying to run this thing where he's like, his whole thing is he's like, I'm gonna give my daughter an exorcism. She ran away. She was basically stolen by Hollywood, and now I'm gonna like save her. And it's like it's a whole like production. Next thing you know, they're out by the Hollywood sign. I forgot to even mention Bobby Carnival and Michelle Monaghan are in this movie. You're like, all right, as like cops.
Okay. Yeah.
You're like, great. But there's a lot in here. You know, they tie the stuff in with her dad. I think she is a pretty compelling character. I also think she is very different from Pearl. Like, I think Pearl is a legit, like, as you mentioned in the end credits, like she's crazy. And I don't think Maxine's crazy. I think Maxine's kind of like pushed to the brink. Like she's like she obviously grew up with that crazy dad of hers. And then she got into this world and she thought like, all right, this is what I need to do to make it. But I don't think she's like, she killed people, sure. But I don't think she's like Pearl.
No. And I think there's like a moment, I forget the specifics of it, where she basically says to someone like, you have no fucking idea like what I've had to deal with this shit. And she says to the guy who's like nuts, she stumps up like, do you know what the last bitch who tried to kill me, like I ran over her fucking head, I crushed her fucking head.
That was pretty great.
It's like
I do like her being a badass. Tyler points out, you know, they're shooting on the Universal lot with the Psycho set. Like, yeah, that's good stuff. You know, like
I remember doing that tour when I was like 6 or 7 and like not being able to look directly at the place.
Oh, like Bates Motel?
Yeah, I was like I didn't want to look right at it because I thought I was going to see like the mom in the window or something, you know.
Dude, it's so
But it's funny.
creepy.
There's one there when they're running, when he's chasing her.
Yeah,
Like she comes out of like a building, and one of them she comes out of is the fucking clock tower from Back to the Future.
No shit. Nice.
Yeah, because I remember that lot, and I remember that's where that whole thing is. Like the Bates Motel is like right behind like the Back to the Future
That is funny.
lot. Yeah,
That's funny. Yeah, no, like it was I think it's probably universally the weakest of the three, but it's still solid enough where
it's
like
solid.
I think
Yeah,
it's a good trilogy. Like I don't know if it would crack our top 10 franchises just because the franchises all had like either more movies or I don't know, higher highs type of thing.
there's no dumps here.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's only 3
Yeah.
and none of them are shit. So like that
Mhm.
that's a, good sort of entry point. But yeah, it's cool. I like the idea of like you have somebody playing a couple of different characters, and then you take one movie, and the next movie is a prequel, and then the movie after that is really the de facto sequel. That's a cool little way to do it. That was
Nice little thing they did there. Yeah, but I think you're not wasting your time with these movies to put a bow on this. Like they're pretty good. I think you won't be disappointed if you watch these.
Ryan, would you recommend this to people?
Yeah. Do that again. Try that again. I would take 2.
Ryan, would you recommend this movie or series of movies to people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I as well. All right, what do we got coming up? Because we have, let's see here. Next week, when we record, will be 3 days before Halloween. So it'll be our last 2 episodes. So we'll do Penguin episode 6, obviously. But for the other episode, last Dorktober of the year, what should we do?
Let's
Any
watch
ideas?
like a shitty horror movie.
Okay.
Like let's decide. Let's take suggestions like the worst horror movie you've ever seen. And let's watch that.
God, no, fuck, dude. The worst horror movie I've ever seen is 2002's Fear.com.
Okay, but like maybe we watch fear.com.
Or
A Dork
we watch
Rewind.
a good one. Josh in the chat. Do we do 7?
Okay. I've been reluctant to do 7 because I'm not going to be able to help myself from doing an immense amount of research into Dante and like Milton. Like I'm not going to be able to help myself.
I think that could be great. That could be great for us. You have
I
the
could
day
just
off
bore-
tomorrow.
just
You can
bore
do all
everybody.
I
Yeah.
like that shit.
Do you
I'm
want
gonna-
some horror movie news that I just saw?
Yeah, Ryan, obviously I want some horror movie
Obviously,
news.
Now, a hashtag dork news flash.
Yes.
Are you ready for this?
Last week, I saw a film. As I recall, it was a horror film.
There is an upcoming movie, a period horror piece about vampires set in the 1920s, starring Tom Holland and Matt Damon. How do you feel about that?
Is this the Christopher Nolan movie?
Directed by Christopher Nolan.
Jesus. Wait a minute. So we're getting a Michael B. Jordan Dracula movie, and
I
we're
don't know
getting
if
a
Draculas. I don't know if those might be zombies or might be like possession. I don't know if those are Draculas.
Jordan one.
Yeah,
I
are
thought
they
Ryan
Draculas?
Coogler and Jordan said they were doing a Dracula movie.
I don't know. They
Maybe-
didn't look like Draculas to me.
All right, but you're saying Tom Holland and Matt Damon are doing a Christopher Nolan Dracula movie?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I mean,
So I know what we're doing like 2 Dorktobers from now is we're definitely seeing that shit.
This is how we do it.
Wow.
Wouldn't it be? Yeah, I would love like Tom Holland to play like the British, guy who's like, knows a little bit about vampires. Then you got Matt Damon, who's like the cowboy, like the Western,
I like that. What my one request would be that Tom Holland's character is actually older than Matt Damon's character.
that would be actually pretty sweet if they're both Draculas.
They're both I would right. Yeah, well, I guess one might not be a Dracula. Maybe one's a familiar. But if one's a I always love that. Like, remember in True Blood when Eric or Alexander Skarsgård, the guy that like turned him was like a guy that like looked younger than us. He was
Oh,
like
what was his name? Shit. What was his name? And he looked younger than him.
Yeah, he was a young dude, but he was like a super old vampire. I love that shit. Yeah, what was that guy's name?
But he kept talking about him.
I love that goddamn show.
Eric was his name, right? And then
Yeah.
Eric Northman. Godric.
And he was like a young guy, but he's like incredibly wise. He had lived for like hundreds of years, and it was like, it's Godric. And then one day he just like ate the sun. He's like, I'm just gonna go out here and
I'm done with it. Yeah.
Look at it. I'm gonna watch the sunrise. He's like, no, don't do it, Godric. Like, I'm gonna fucking do it, dude. Can't stop me. Can't stop, won't stop. I'm good with that. If everybody wants to make a Dracula movie next year, I'll watch all the Dracula movies.
I'll watch all of them. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so next week's TBD. We'll either do a good movie or a shitty movie.
Yeah. Or both. Who knows? High highs and low lows.
Yeah. All right.
Grab his dick and twist it.
No, we're done.
That's not too much. Yeah, it's too much.
We're not gonna do that. Anyway,
no, thank you, Matt. We're stomping on balls. We're not grabbing them and twisting them.
Right. We're MaXXXine minx just crushing testicles. Dude, that scene was awesome though. When the guy came out there and he like has the knife and she's like, "Oh yeah," and then she's like, "Suck on the gun, suck on the gun." And he's like, "Suck on the gun." And then
get naked. Yeah,
take your pants off, nut stomp. That was awesome. All right, let us know what you guys think of X, Pearl, and MaXXXine. Next week we'll be back, of course, with the Penguin and TBD. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Dork Podcast for whatever it might be. And feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Dork Podcast, and wherever you get your pods, Spotify, Apple Pod, Odyssey. Tell a friend, tell a dork. And Davey, finally, a million times over, promise me you will never do another rule.
I can't promise you that, shirt brother.